In the previous movie, I demonstrated some of the more important of Premiere Pro's interface components. You can also access Premiere components from the main menu bar at the top of the interface up here. These are organized from left to right in pretty much the standard fashion that you'll find in all Windows applications. If you're running the Mac operating system, you'll find these as well. Very common on other Mac applications. Over to the right is the Help section. And to the left is your File commands, opening up new files, saving files, closing projects, capturing assets, importing and exporting files. Next, you have your Edit commands, undoing, redoing, cutting, copying, and pasting. Then you have your Project commands, project settings, importing batch lists, exporting batch lists, Project Manager option is there too. Then you have your Clip commands for managing and working with your clips, renaming them, edit them, inserting and overlaying them, enabling them, linking, grouping, and ungrouping them. Then your Sequence commands for working with your sequences, rendering the work area, setting the razor at the current time indicator or not. The razor is a tool over here which you'll use to edit your clips. Zooming in, zooming out, adding and deleting tracks. Then you have your Marker commands, setting and going to markers. Title is next. Create a new title. Set your font size, type alignment, orientation, word wrap, logo, transform, and other title-specific commands. Then you have your Window menu. Here is where you can manage your various components, Premiere Pro CS3 components, such as the Capture window, Effects window, Events panel, History panel, Project, Source monitor, Reference monitor, and so on. Now, right-clicking or context-clicking a section of the interface brings up context windows that are relevant to the particular context or area of the screen you are in. When you right-clicked, to do this on the Macintosh operating system, you'll control-click on that area. For example, context clicking a clip in the timeline window reveals a menu similar to the one you'd see if you selected the clip and then chose Clip Menu from the main menu up at the top. You notice you can cut, copy, clear, ripple, delete. In other words, work with clips in some way or fashion. Right-clicking in the Project window lets you work with bins, import project objects and files, finding project elements. Right-clicking in the Program window there lets you lift, extract, set sequence marker, set your quality for the visual there. In other words, this is all settings related to the playback of video in the Program monitor here. Now, as I've demonstrated previously, the Premiere Pro interface is highly customizable. In addition to moving the width and heights of these various panels, you can also group panel clusters together in different organizations. These are called palettes. Notice that down here I have my timeline sequence. And if I go over here to File, New, Sequence, I'll get Sequence 8 here. And notice that I have two tabs there, or two palettes of sequences. Now I can take this timeline sequence 8 and move it over next door so that it's ungrouped with this other timeline sequence. I can also close it by clicking on the X button right there. Notice that here in the top left of my current interface, I have my Project window, but I can also add the Effect Controls window there, either on top of it, or I can group these together. The way I'll group them together is drag it up to the top where the label of that tab is, and notice that now I have my Effect Controls and Project window together, and I can tab them back and forth, or again I can disassociate or detach the Effect Controls panel and bring it down here. Notice here I have three tabs. Let's open up this again. I have my Info tab, Effects tab, and History tab or palette. These are also called palettes in the Premiere Pro CS3 documentation. I can close these at any time by clicking on the X button to the right of the name. So you can see that the interface is highly customizable. Now, probably what will happen at first, in particular, is you'll make a mess of your interface. So you can, at any time, go back to Window and set up your workspace defaults. For example, there's the audio workspace. So if you do make a mess of stuff, you can bring back these default workspaces. There's the editing workspace. Notice that you have here the source and program windows and the timeline down on the bottom, info panel to the left, lower left, and the project panel upper left there. You can also reset the current workspace. Are you sure you want to reset editing to its original layout? That'll be a very, very useful command, especially if you do make a mess of your interface and you want to bring it back to the way it was when you started so you have a point of reference. And there's the audio workspace. Let's go ahead and take that back to its current setting, original layout for the audio workspace. Let's click yes. And there we go. There's the original audio workspace layout. So you can kind of work from here. And then again, if you do make a mess of things, you can always bring it back to this original layout here. Let me now move on to the next movie and review in greater detail a particular interface component, and that is the project window.